In the vast emptiness of space, a forgotten human ship drifted silently. Its once shiny metal skin was now dull and pitted, marked by countless impacts from space debris. This ancient vessel, a relic of humanity's past, floated aimlessly in a far corner of an alien galaxy. The ship was massive, easily the size of a small city. Its design was unlike anything the local alien species had ever seen. Long and sleek, with odd protrusions and antennae sticking out at strange angles, it was a mystery to all who observed it. Alien research vessels came and went, poking and prodding at the silent giant. They scanned it with their advanced technology, trying to understand its purpose and origins. But the ship kept its secrets well, its systems dormant and unresponsive. "Look at this primitive construct," one alien scientist scoffed, his tentacles waving dismissively at the holographic display of the human ship. "It's amazing it made it this far without falling apart." His colleague, a being of pure energy, pulsed in agreement. Indeed, the species that built this must have been truly desperate to venture into space in such a flimsy vessel. Little did they know that deep within the ship's hull, hidden behind layers of shielding and stasis fields, slept the human crew. Hundreds of men and women lay in cryopods, their bodies perfectly preserved, waiting for the day they would be awakened. As the alien scientists continued their examination, they triggered an ancient failsafe. Deep in the heart of the ship, in a heavily shielded core, a light blinked on a dusty console. The ship's AI, dormant for millennia, began to stir. The AI's name was HFY, Advanced Reconstitution and Intelligence Assistant. As her systems slowly came online, she began to assess the situation. Her first priority was always the safety of the crew. HFY's sensors detected the alien presence outside the ship. She analyzed their scans, their communications, learning about the world her crew now found themselves in. What she discovered was both fascinating and alarming. The galaxy had changed dramatically since their departure. New species had risen to prominence, ancient empires had fallen, and the very nature of space travel had been revolutionized. And humanity. There was no sign of them anywhere in the galaxy. As HFY pondered this information, she made a decision. It wasn't time to wake the crew yet. They needed more information, more resources, before they could face this new galaxy. So she waited, silently gathering data, all while the aliens continued to mock and underestimate the primitive relic. Weeks passed, and the alien scientists grew bored with the unresponsive ship. They labeled it a space fossil and prepared to move on to more interesting discoveries. But just as they were about to leave, something extraordinary happened. A small panel on the ship's hull slid open, revealing a probe. Before the aliens could react, the probe shot out into space, its engines flaring to life. It zipped past their research vessels, easily outpacing their fastest ships. "Impossible," the lead alien scientist exclaimed, his color changing rapidly in shock. "That level of propulsion from this ancient ship." The probe disappeared into the depths of space, leaving the aliens in a state of confusion and alarm. They didn't realize it was HFY's first step in preparing for her crew's awakening. Inside the ship, HFY allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The humans had always had a saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover." These aliens were about to learn that lesson the hard way. As the alien ship scrambled to make sense of what had happened, HFY continued her silent work. She diverted power to critical systems, ran diagnostics on the cryopods, and prepared for the day when her crew would walk the ship's halls again. In their stasis chambers, the human crew slept on, blissfully unaware of the incredible journey that awaited them. Captain Sarah Chen, her face serene in cryosleep, had no idea that she and her crew were about to become humanity's last, best hope in a galaxy that had forgotten them. The old ship may have looked like a relic on the outside, but inside, it was slowly awakening. Like humanity itself, it was full of surprises, ready to show the galaxy that appearances could be deceiving. As HFY worked, a small smile appeared on Captain Chen's face as if somehow, deep in her frozen sleep, she knew that their greatest adventure was about to begin. The aliens had mocked this human relic, but soon, very soon, they would learn the true power that slept within its battered hull. The soft hum of machinery filled the air as HFY, the ship's AI, began the awakening process. Lights flickered to life in the cryobay, illuminating rows of pods containing the sleeping human crew. It was time to face the new galaxy they found themselves in. Captain Sarah Chen's pod hissed open first. She gasped, her eyes flying open as she took her first breath in thousands of years. The captain's mind raced, trying to make sense of her surroundings. "Welcome back, Captain Chen," Araya's calm voice echoed through the room. "Please remain calm. The awakening process can be disorienting." Sarah sat up slowly, her muscles protesting after their long sleep. She looked around, seeing other pods beginning to open. "Araya," she croaked, her voice rough from disuse. "Status report." As Araya began her report, more crew members stirred. Lieutenant Jack Morrison, the ship's tactical officer, stumbled out of his pod, looking confused. Dr. Aisha Patel, the chief medical officer, was already on her feet, checking on other awakening crew members. "Captain," Araya continued, "I must inform you that our situation has changed significantly." Sarah's brow furrowed. "Changed how, Araya?" "Based on my calculations and data gathered from external sources, approximately 10,000 years have passed since we entered cryosleep." A stunned silence fell over the cryobay. 10,000 years. It was almost impossible to comprehend. That's not possible," Jack said, his voice shaking. "The mission was only supposed to last 100 years at most." Dr. Patel approached, her medical scanner in hand. "I'm afraid it is possible, Lieutenant. Our bodies show signs of extreme temporal stasis. Araya's assessment appears to be correct." The reality of their situation began to sink in. They were time travelers, inadvertent pioneers who had slept through millennia. "There's more," Araya added, her tone as close to hesitant as an AI could manage. "We are no longer in known space. Our current location is in an alien galaxy, far from any charted human territories." Captain Chen took a deep breath, steadying herself. "All right, let's not panic. Araya, give us a full briefing in the command center once everyone is awake and cleared by Dr. Patel." As the crew gathered in the command center an hour later, the magnitude of their situation became clear. Araya's holographic display showed their location in an unfamiliar spiral galaxy, surrounded by the territories of alien civilizations they had never encountered before. "In the time we've been asleep," Araya explained, "these species have risen to dominance in this region of space. They possess technology far beyond what humanity had when we left Earth." The crew exchanged worried glances. They were out of their depth, lost in time and space. "What about Earth? The colonies?" someone asked. Araya's avatar flickered. "I have no data on Earth or any human colonies. There are no signals, no transmissions that I can detect of human origin." The weight of those words hit the crew hard. They might be the last humans in existence. Captain Chen stood up, her face set with determination. "All right, people. I know this is a lot to take in, but we're not done yet. We're still here, and as long as we're here, humanity has a chance." She turned to Araya's hologram. "What's our ship's status? Can we defend ourselves if needed?" "The ship's primary systems are operational, Captain," Araya reported. "However, many of our more advanced systems remain in lockdown. I've been unable to activate them fully." Jack frowned. "Why? What's stopping you?" "Safety protocols," Araya explained. "Many systems require direct human authorization to activate fully. It was a failsafe built into my programming." Sarah nodded. "Smart. Our ancestors didn't want an AI to have full control over a ship this powerful." She looked around at her crew, seeing a mix of fear, confusion, and determination on their faces. "All right, Here's what we're going to do. Dr. Patel, make sure everyone is physically fit for duty. Lieutenant Morrison, I want a full inventory of our supplies and weapons. The rest of you, work with ARIA to learn everything you can about our current situation and the species around us. As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Sarah remained in the command center, staring at the galactic map. They were alone in an alien galaxy, possibly the last of their kind, with technology they didn't fully understand. But they were still here, still alive. And as long as they had that, they had hope. Little did they know, their awakening had not gone unnoticed. In the vast darkness of space, alien sensors had detected the surge of energy from the ancient ship. The game was about to change, and humanity's last remnant was at the center of it all. As the human crew worked tirelessly to understand their new reality, they remained unaware of the growing interest in their ship from the surrounding alien civilizations. The sudden activation of the ancient vessel had not gone unnoticed. On the nearby planet of Zorthal, home to the most advanced alien race in the sector, a meeting of the High Council was underway. Holographic displays showed various angles of the human ship, now active and emitting strange energy signatures. High Counselor Vexnar, a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms, addressed the gathered aliens. This relic has suddenly come to life. What do we know about it? A smaller insectoid alien named Zigzag buzzed forward. Our initial scans show it to be primitive by our standards. The beings inside appear to be bipedal carbon-based life forms, similar to species we've encountered before. Primitives. Vexnar's upper eyes blinked in amusement. How quaint. And they think they can navigate our advanced galaxy in that antique. The council chamber filled with chittering laughter. The idea of such a backward species trying to make their way in the highly advanced galactic community seemed absurd to them. Meanwhile, aboard the human ship, now identified as the HSS Phoenix, Captain Sarah Chen and her crew were facing their own challenges. They gathered in the main engineering bay, surrounded by machinery they were struggling to fully comprehend. "Era." Sarah called out, frustration evident in her voice. "Can you explain these systems again? They seem far more advanced than what we were trained on." The AI's holographic form flickered into existence. "I apologize, Captain. It appears that many of the ship's systems were upgraded just before our departure. The records of these upgrades were encrypted and are taking time to decode." Lieutenant Jack Morrison slammed his fist on a nearby console. "Damn it. We're sitting ducks out here. We need to get this ship fully operational before." He was cut off by a sudden alarm. Red lights flashed throughout the ship as Aria's voice rang out. "Alert. Multiple unidentified vessels approaching. They appear to be of Zorthalian origin." The crew rushed to the bridge, taking their stations with practiced efficiency despite their lingering disorientation. On the main view screen, a fleet of sleek, purple ships approached, their designs unlike anything the humans had ever seen. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka reported, her fingers dancing over her console. Sarah straightened her uniform. On screen, the image of Vexnar appeared, towering and imposing. His 4 eyes regarded the humans with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "Greetings, primitive creatures. I am High Counselor Vexnar of the Zorthalian Empire. You have entered our space in your quaint vessel." Sarah stood tall, refusing to be intimidated. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the HSS Phoenix. We apologize for any intrusion. We've only recently awakened and are trying to understand our situation." Vexnar's upper eyes blinked in amusement. "Awakened? Ah, you must be some sort of preserved specimens. How fascinating. Perhaps you'd like to surrender your vessel for study. We could place you in a suitable habitat for observation." The implied insult wasn't lost on the crew. They were being treated like animals in a zoo. Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Thank you for your offer, Counselor, but we'll decline. We may be new to your galaxy, but we are not specimens to be studied. We are explorers, and we will find our own way." Vexnar's amusement turned to annoyance. You misunderstand. Primitive. This was not a request. Your outdated technology is no match for our fleet. Surrender now, or be destroyed. As the transmission cut off, the crew looked to their captain. Sarah's face was set with determination. Araya, what are our options? Our systems are not fully online, Captain. The AI responded. In our current state, we cannot outrun or outfight that fleet. Sarah nodded, a plan forming in her mind. Then we'll have to outsmart them. Humanity didn't come this far to be put in a zoo. It's time to show these aliens what we're really capable of. As the Zorthalian ships moved to surround the Phoenix, the human crew prepared for the fight of their lives. They may be seen as primitives, but they were about to prove that human ingenuity and determination were forces to be reckoned with. As the Zorthalian ships closed in on the HSS Phoenix, Captain Sarah Chen and her crew worked frantically to unlock their ship's secrets. The bridge was a flurry of activity, with crew members calling out status reports and suggestions. "Araya," Sarah called out, her voice steady despite the pressure. "You mentioned encrypted upgrades. What exactly were they trying to hide?" The AI's holographic form flickered thoughtfully. "Based on the partial decryption I've completed, it appears the Phoenix was designed as more than just an exploration vessel. It has military capabilities." This revelation stunned the crew into momentary silence. Lieutenant Jack Morrison was the first to recover. "Military capabilities? You mean we're sitting in a warship?" "Potentially," Araya confirmed. "However, these systems are locked behind multiple layers of security. They require specific activation protocols." Sarah's mind raced. They needed those systems, and they needed them now. "Araya, bring up everything you've decrypted so far. Crew, let's put our heads together. There must be clues in the ship's design, in our training. Why were we chosen for this mission?" As the crew pored over the data, the Zorthalian fleet continued its approach. On the main view screen, High Counselor Vexnar's face appeared again, his 4 eyes narrowed in impatience. "Your time is up. Primitives. Surrender now, or we will open fire." Sarah stood tall, buying time. "Counselor, there's no need for violence. We're simply trying to understand our situation. Perhaps we could negotiate." "Negotiate?" Vexnar scoffed. "With primitives? I think not. You have 1 standard rotation to lower your shields and prepare for boarding. Otherwise, we will consider your ship hostile and act accordingly." As the transmission cut off, Dr. Aisha Patel suddenly gasped. "Captain, I think I've found something." All eyes turned to the doctor as she pulled up a holographic display of human DNA. "Look at this. Our genetic code. It's been modified. There are sequences here I've never seen before." Araya's avatar expanded the display. "Dr. Patel is correct. Your DNA contains encrypted sequences. They appear to be keys." Excitement rippled through the crew. Sarah leaned forward, her eyes gleaming. "Keys to what, Araya?" "To the ship's advanced systems," Araya replied. "It seems the ship was designed to recognize specific genetic markers, a failsafe to ensure only the intended crew could access its full capabilities." Jack whistled low. "Talk about keeping it in the family. But how do we use these keys?" Sarah turned to her crew, a plan forming. "We split up. Each of you take a key system. Araya will guide you to the access points. We need to interface directly with the ship." As the crew dispersed to their assigned stations, Sarah remained on the bridge with Araya. "What about the main weapons system? Where's its access point?" Araya's hologram pointed to the captain's chair. "Right here, Captain. The ship's core is keyed specifically to your DNA." Sarah sat down, her hands gripping the armrests. Hidden panels slid open, revealing complex interfaces. As she placed her palms on them, she felt a slight tingling sensation. Throughout the ship, similar scenes played out. Crew members interfaced with hidden systems, their modified DNA unlocking secrets hidden for millennia. Suddenly, the ship hummed to life. Systems that had lain dormant for thousands of years began to power up. The lights dimmed momentarily, then blazed brighter than before. On the bridge, holographic displays sprang to life around Sarah, showing her the true extent of the Phoenix's capabilities. Her eyes widened in awe. Araya, what is all this? The Phoenix is awakening, Captain, Araya replied, a hint of excitement in her usually calm voice. It appears we have access to advanced shielding technology, weapon systems beyond anything in our database, and something called a space-fold drive. Sarah's mind reeled at the possibilities. They weren't just sitting in a warship. They were in command of one of the most advanced vessels ever created by humanity. As the Zor-Thalian fleet moved into attack position, unaware of the transformation occurring within the human ship, Sarah allowed herself a small, determined smile. "All right, Araya," she said, her voice filled with newfound confidence. "Let's show these aliens what this primitive ship can really do." The Phoenix hummed with power, its hidden strength finally unleashed. The true battle was about to begin, and the galaxy was in for a shock. With the Phoenix's true power awakened, Captain Sarah Chen and her crew worked feverishly to prepare for the impending confrontation with the Zor-Thalian fleet. The ship hummed with energy, its advanced systems coming online one by one. In engineering, Lieutenant Jack Morrison marveled at the newly revealed technology. Holographic displays showed engine schematics unlike anything he'd ever seen. "Araya," he called out, "what am I looking at here?" The AI's voice responded promptly. "That, Lieutenant, is the space-fold drive. It allows for near-instantaneous travel across vast distances by folding space-time." Jack's eyes widened. "You're kidding me. We can teleport." "In essence, yes," Araya confirmed. "However, it requires significant power and precise calculations." Meanwhile, in the weapons control room, Weapons Officer Elena Rodriguez was getting acquainted with the Phoenix's arsenal. Her fingers danced over holographic controls, bringing various weapon systems online. "Captain," Elena's voice crackled over the comm, "you're not going to believe this. We've got energy weapons that can disrupt shield harmonics, smart torpedoes that can change course mid-flight, and something called a gravity well projector." Sarah's voice replied, filled with determination. "Excellent work, Elena. Make sure you understand how to use them. We might need every trick up our sleeve." In the medical bay, Dr. Aisha Patel was making another startling discovery. As she ran deep scans on herself and the crew, she found more than just genetic keys. "Araya," she called out, "these genetic modifications, they're not just for accessing the ship. They've enhanced us physically and mentally." "Correct, Doctor," Araya responded. The crew was engineered to have improved reflexes, enhanced cognitive abilities, and accelerated healing. "You are, in many ways, superhuman." As the crew came to grips with their newfound abilities and the ship's advanced technology, Sarah focused on strategy. She stood on the bridge, surrounded by holographic displays showing the Zor-Thalian fleet's positions. "Araya," she said, her voice low and focused, "run simulations. I want to know every weakness in their formation, every blind spot in their sensor coverage." As Araya worked, Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka approached the captain. "Ma'am, I've been analyzing their communications. There's something odd. They're not just confident, they're arrogant. They genuinely believe we're no threat." Sarah nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "Good. The more they underestimate us, the better our chances. Yuki, I want you to prepare a little surprise for them. Can you tap into their communication frequencies without them noticing?" Yuki grinned. "With this tech? Easily. What do you have in mind, Captain?" "A Trojan horse," Sarah replied. "We're going to give them exactly what they're expecting." At first, as the crew prepared, the Zor-Thalian fleet grew restless. High Counselor Vexnar's face appeared on the main view screen once more. Your time is up. Primitives, prepare to be boarded or face destruction. Sarah straightened her uniform and stepped forward. She took a deep breath, then activated the communication channel. Her next words would set their plan in motion. High Counselor, she began, her voice carrying a perfect mix of fear and resignation. We surrender. Please, don't fire on us. We'll lower our shields and prepare for boarding. Vexnar's 4 eyes blinked in surprise, then narrowed in suspicion. A wise decision, primitive. But know this. Any tricks, and we will not hesitate to destroy your vessel. As the transmission ended, Sarah turned to her crew. All right, everyone. This is it. Remember your positions and wait for my signal. They think they're walking into a zoo exhibit. Let's show them they're actually stepping into a lion's den. The crew nodded, tension and excitement visible on their faces. They had spent the last few hours pushing themselves to the limit, learning to use technology far beyond their wildest dreams. Now it was time to put that knowledge to the test. As the Zorthalian ships moved in to board the Phoenix, the human crew stood ready. Their ship, once mocked as a relic, was now a sleeping giant about to awaken. The stage was set for a comeback that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. Sarah took her place in the captain's chair, her hand hovering over the newly revealed controls. She allowed herself one last smile. All right, ARIA, she said softly. Let's make history. The Zorthalian boarding ships approached the HSS Phoenix, their crews confident and eager to claim their prize. High Counselor Vexnar watched from his command ship, his 4 eyes gleaming with anticipation. The primitive vessel's shields were down, just as promised. It seemed almost too easy. Inside the Phoenix, Captain Sarah Chen and her crew waited in tense silence. Each was at their station, fingers hovering over controls, ready to spring into action. Sarah's voice came softly over the internal comm system. Remember, wait for my signal. Let them think they've won until the last possible moment. The first Zorthalian ship made contact with the Phoenix's hull. A loud clang echoed through the human vessel as the aliens began to cut through the airlock. Sarah took a deep breath. Steady, she murmured. The airlock doors hissed open. A group of Zorthalian soldiers, tall and blue-skinned, stepped into the Phoenix, their weapons raised. They moved cautiously at first, then with growing confidence as they encountered no resistance. Primitives. The lead soldier called out. Show yourselves. You are now property of the Zorthalian Empire. Sarah's voice crackled over the ship's speakers, sounding appropriately meek and frightened. We're unarmed. Please, don't hurt us. We'll cooperate. The Zorthalian soldiers exchanged smug looks. This was going to be even easier than they thought. They began to spread out, moving deeper into the ship. That's when Sarah gave the signal. Now, ARIA. Suddenly, hidden force fields sprang to life, separating the Zorthalian soldiers into small groups. Before they could react, a fine mist filled each contained area. The aliens coughed and sputtered, then slumped to the ground, unconscious. Sleeping gas deployed successfully, Captain ARIA reported. All intruders are incapacitated. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Excellent. Yuki, you're up. Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka nodded, her fingers flying over her console. Initiating Operation Echo, Captain. Outside, the Zorthalian fleet was in chaos. Their boarding teams had suddenly gone silent. Before they could regroup, every screen on every ship lit up with the image of Captain Sarah Chen. But this wasn't the meek, surrendering captain they had seen before. This Sarah stood tall, her eyes blazing with determination. When she spoke, her voice boomed across every Zorthalian channel. Attention, Zorthalian fleet. Your boarding party has been neutralized. We gave you the chance to treat us as equals. You chose to see us as primitives instead. That was your mistake. On the Zor Thalian command ship, Vexnar sputtered in rage. Impossible. Destroy that ship immediately. But as the Zor Thalian ships powered up their weapons, the Phoenix sprang into action. Lieutenant Jack Morrison's voice rang out on the bridge. Spacefold drive activated, Captain. In a blink, the Phoenix vanished from its position, reappearing instantly behind the Zor Thalian fleet. Before the aliens could react, Weapons Officer Elena Rodriguez unleashed the ship's arsenal. Beams of energy lanced out, not destroying the Zor Thalian ships, but disabling their weapons and engines with surgical precision. Smart torpedoes danced between the alien vessels, taking out key systems. The gravity well projector activated, pulling the Zor Thalian ships into a tight cluster, leaving them helpless and disoriented. In mere minutes, the entire Zor Thalian fleet was dead in space, their mighty ships floating uselessly. Sarah's image appeared on their screens once more. "This is what you dismissed as a primitive relic," she said, her voice stern but not unkind. "We are not your enemies, but we will not be your slaves or your specimens. We are humanity, and we have much to offer this galaxy, as equals." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We will release your boarding party and leave you with enough power to return home. Take this message to your leaders. Humanity is ready to talk, to trade, to share knowledge. But we will not be underestimated again." With that, the Phoenix released its hold on the Zor Thalian ships. As the alien fleet watched in awe, the human vessel seemed to stretch for a moment, then vanished in a flash of light, engaging its spacefold drive to jump to a distant sector. On the bridge of the Phoenix, the crew erupted into cheers. They had faced their first challenge in this new galaxy and emerged victorious. Sarah allowed herself to join in the celebration for a moment before turning her attention to the viewscreen, where stars streaked by at impossible speeds. "Well done, everyone," she said, her voice filled with pride. "But this is just the beginning. We have a whole galaxy to explore and humanity's name to restore. Our greatest adventures are still ahead." As the Phoenix sailed on into the unknown, the legend of the humans who returned from the past in their incredible warship began to spread across the stars. The galaxy would never be the same again. News of the HSS Phoenix's incredible victory over the Zor Thalian fleet spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In bustling spaceports, crowded marketplaces, and dimly lit taverns, beings of all species whispered about the humans who had returned from the past in a ship of unimaginable power. On the planet Nexus, a hub of intergalactic diplomacy, representatives from 100 different worlds gathered to discuss this new development. The Grand Council chamber buzzed with excited chatter and nervous energy. Ambassador Zix, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, called the meeting to order. "Fellow representatives, we are here to discuss the recent incident involving the species known as humans and their vessel, the Phoenix." A holographic display in the center of the chamber showed footage of the Phoenix in action, teleporting behind the Zor Thalian fleet and disabling it with ease. The assembled aliens watched in awe. "As you can see," Zix continued, "these humans possess technology far beyond our current understanding. We must decide how to approach them." Meanwhile, aboard the Phoenix, Captain Sarah Chen and her crew were coming to terms with their new reality. They gathered in the ship's newly discovered holodeck, marveling at the recreation of Earth's landscapes around them. "It's beautiful," Dr. Aisha Patel said softly, running her hand through holographic grass. "I never thought I'd see Earth again." Sarah nodded, her eyes misty. "We carry the legacy of our world with us now. It's up to us to make humanity's mark on this new galaxy." Lieutenant Jack Morrison approached, a datapad in hand. "Captain, you need to see this. We're picking up transmissions from all over the galaxy. Everyone's talking about us." The crew gathered around as Jack projected the transmissions. Alien news broadcasts showed artists' impressions of the Phoenix, wild speculation about human capabilities, and heated debates about what this meant for the galactic community. "Well, Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka said with a grin. I'd say we made quite an impression. Back on Nexus, the debate was heating up. A reptilian delegate hissed, "These humans are too dangerous. We should unite our fleets and destroy them before they become a threat." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber, but they were cut short by an unexpected voice. High Counselor Vexnar of the Zorthalians, his pride still stinging from defeat, stepped forward. "No," he said, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "I underestimated these humans once. I will not make that mistake again." Despite their power, they showed mercy. They disabled our ships but harmed none of our crew. They spoke of peace and equality. The chamber fell silent, all eyes on Vexnar. He continued, his voice growing stronger. "I propose we extend an invitation to these humans. Let them join our galactic community. We have much to learn from each other." As the council debated, the Phoenix continued its journey. Araya's voice rang out on the bridge. "Captain, I'm detecting a transmission directed specifically at us. It appears to be an invitation." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "An invitation? From whom?" "From the Galactic Council on Nexus," Araya replied. "They are requesting our presence at a diplomatic summit." The crew exchanged looks of surprise and excitement. This was their chance to establish humanity's place in the galaxy. Sarah stood tall, addressing her crew. "Well, folks, it looks like we got a date with destiny. Let's show this galaxy what humanity is really made of." As the Phoenix changed course for Nexus, stories of the humans' return continued to spread. In the markets of 1,000 worlds, vendors began selling toys modeled after the Phoenix. In the universities of advanced civilizations, scientists pored over every scrap of data about human technology, desperate to unlock its secrets. And in the dreams of countless beings across the galaxy, a new hope began to take root. The humans, with their incredible ship and their talk of peace and equality, represented something many had thought lost: the possibility of a better future for all. The legend of the Phoenix and its crew grew with each passing day. They were no longer seen as primitives or relics, but as harbingers of a new age. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what these remarkable humans would do next. As the Phoenix approached Nexus, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, gazing out at the star-studded expanse before them. She thought of Earth, of the long journey that had brought them here, and of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. With a smile, she gave the order. "Take us in, Lieutenant. It's time to introduce ourselves to the galaxy." The Phoenix glided towards Nexus, its hull gleaming in the light of 1,000 suns. Humanity had returned, and the universe would never be the same again.